Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Space Day. It's the first Wednesday of the month, therefore it's Space Day. Simple as that. That's how it works around here. You probably won't notice it if you're watching it on YouTube, but I am starting the stream a little bit early tonight because I wanted to get going. Because I'm not entirely sure how long it's going to take to perform the mission I want to actually do this evening. What I'm basically going to be doing is taking my ship, the crate, whatever it is I end up being in, to a megaship called the Gnosis in Elite Dangerous. So yeah, we're having a bit of an Elite Dangerous session tonight, continuing on from last week, continuing what's happening in the new updates, and apparently this Gnosis ship is it's the only megaship apparently owned by a player group called Canonn Science or Canonn Scientific or whatever they're called. And they are doing lots of research and are chasing Thargoids as well as other things. But this megaship is going on a jump tomorrow at some point into a hitherto unexplored part of the galaxy, which has been locked off by permits. So they're having a go, and I thought, let's try and get there, see if we can have a look at this lovely ship, and then go wherever it's going and have a look around a bit of space that no one's ever seen. I don't know how long it's staying there for, I don't know what's happening when it gets there, but I am going to have a go. And again, we will be in... don't know if you heard that was live chat on someone. But yeah, I don't know how long it's going to be there for. I hear it could be 4 weeks. There's no schedule at the minute as to when it's actually going to jump or even come back out. So I'm going to put the sound on. Just going to check something. Yep, the sound is working. And we'll skip back into game and we'll carry on. So, as usual, I'm in VR. The VR last week made me feel a little bit sick, so I'm actually going to try and see what happens this week again. If it makes me sick again, then I'm going to drop out of VR and use the other options. So again, chat might be a little bit kind of ropey because I'm not looking at a chat window. And let's just see what happens as we progress through the evening. Hope you're all well. I hope you enjoy the show. So currently, when I left the stream last time, I was on Sign UFA something, which was a Guardian ruin. What I wanted to try and do is go to the nearest base and get rid of some of the crap that's on the ship so that I could increase my jump range. Because when I tried to plot a route from where I was to the location of the Gnosis, it was failing. So I thought I'd try increase my jump range, try it again and go back. But I found this base. And this base is my first ever witnessing of an asteroid base. So it's a very interesting design. It goes with my ship's rather red aesthetic, as you can see from the consoles and so on. I've got a little bit of graphic clipping going on, like mirroring of the images. It doesn't seem to work very well. I don't know if that's just me or if you can see that as well. But I have stripped this ship down to nothing. So I've taken all the fighters away, I've taken the SRV out. I've taken as much off as I can. I've removed the shields even and the weapons. So this is going to be a trip with nothing. The other thing is I've taken all the weapons and everything off as well, and put them all into pods, into storage. I'm hoping that what will happen is that when we get into the Gnosis, I'll be able to access that stuff back again. But as you can see, I've popped a new livery on. I've gone for one of the brand new iridescent skins because they look really nice. But yeah, so I thought I'd give that a go, see what it looks like. Now, what I was going to have a look at was, one of the warnings I've had on this is that it might be worth taking a secondary ship or use a secondary pilot. So I'm going to see what's available. Could take a Cobra. But no, I'm not. I've just spent the last little while removing all the crap from this ship, so I'll just take this ship. Now I have plotted the route. As you can see, I'm going from Pencil Sector IRV, the base New Growth, to Autot's STI, sorry, D94. That's where it currently is. 71 jumps, and that's why I'm starting a little bit early, because this may take a while. I'm hoping it won't be any longer than a couple of hours, but we'll just see, shall we? So let's have a look at this base. So this is the inside of an asteroid base's docking bay. But outside it, it is very, very industrial, and I think it looks really nice. If you actually get out of the industrial aspect of it. So we'll have a look on the external camera. Let us do such a thing. So there's the new skin, the iridescent skin. And this is the base. As you can see, it's very industrial. So obviously this is a mining base of some type. And it looks, I think I love the design. I love this industrial, proper realistic technology look that it's got going on. It's quite nice. I like the look of the ship as well, actually. So, let's go.
Disengage from landing pad. Exit the station quickly and safely.
Race landing gear.
Gear coming up.
Ow! Well, that's not a good start, is it?
Trespassers will be dealt with. Leave the area now.
Okay, this is not good. Typical, a bloody Type 9 would have to come at me right as I'm trying to get out. %. Seriously? Wow.
Landing permission denied. You have left the no-fire zone. We hope to see you again, Commander.
That's a
Clearance
negative.
denied. Resubmit request within range of station.
I'll give you all a bit of a laugh then, watching this.
Access granted. Clear to land at docking bay 37.
Oy. It's all the effort to try and save time. Blown out the water by a Type. There he is, the bastard. Deploy landing gear.
The landing gear is down and locked.
Speed restrictions are in effect at this facility. Please comply. Confirmed contact. Ground crew dispatched. Greetings, Commander.
Got a fine to pay as well. God. Repair.
Hull repaired.
Let's try that again, shall we?
Detachment complete. Maintain correct lane on exit.
Raise landing gear.
Gear up.
Let's try this again. No Type 9 this time, please. Thank you. Very kind of you. Afterburners.
Afterburners engaged.
Engage FSD.
Frame shift activated.
Alright, so we're off. And good evening to you, Daddy Hoggy. Thank you for popping on. I know you're a busy man today. Appreciate the fact that you're going to pop in and listen in while we're on the way.
4, 3, 2, 1. Engage.
So what we're going to talk about while we're online then. This fine
Exiting now.
evening. Well, there's a few things going on at the minute. One of the things was Fantasticon this weekend. This is basically going to be 70 jumps. 70 rounds of jump scoop, jump scoop. Scan the system.
Oh, Jerry, don't let's ask for the moon. We have the stars.
Fuel scoop disengaged.
Engage FSD.
Charging frame shift drive.
Yeah. So, Fantasticon this weekend, or last weekend. It was
Leaving system.
fun. I enjoyed it. I always enjoy Fantasticon because it's chaotic, fun. It's always a good laugh. There's always great people
Scanning for
there.
anomalies.
I get some decent RPG sessions in normally, and usually get a fairly good kind of mix of people coming having a look as well. It was at a new venue this year. It's the last 2 years it's been at the Guild Hall in Hull. But this year for the first time it's gone away from the Hull area and actually to Cleethorpes. Just down the coast a little bit and across the Humber. Or down from the Humber.
Fuel scoop.
Cleethorpes Leisure Centre were the host. And it was a good venue. The biggest problem I had with it was the acoustics. Because in the main hall, when they've got stuff going on stage, the acoustics were echoey as hell. Because you've got basically flat brick walls, not really designed for having music and stuff in. But it was good. The second complaint I would have, and this is a more personal one, is that there was a specific room set up for RPGs, and I didn't realise it from the maps and everything,
Jumping to next system.
in the stuff that Dan sent out, but the RPG annex was a squash court, which means a
Exiting
sectioned
now.
off glass doored area of the hall, so a good idea in that aspect. But the problem with it is that with it being a squash court, the leisure centre management had a rule that says no outdoor shoes, no black soled shoes, no food and no drink. And when you're hosting RPG sessions, people want to sit and drink, and they also want to sit and maybe have a bite to eat, and they certainly are not overly keen on taking their shoes off. So the footfall traffic past there was very, very bad. It was off the main concourses anyway, and then of course people get to that door, they're having a look at what's inside, saying, oh, I want to take a look at that, and then see the sign that says no food, no drink, no nothing, and then no, they're not coming in. We sat at the back there and we saw so many people just sit, look at what was going on, take a look at the sign, and then just keep on walking. So we lost a lot of passing trade, lost a lot of passing interest, and a lot of people who potentially might have been interested in RPGs who just basically took one look at the rules and said, nope, fuck that.
Exiting now.
So that was quite sad, actually. Now what made it doubly sad for me personally, and this is no slight on Dan, is that I was there to sell as well as do RPG sessions, and the decision was made that I would be selling and doing all that from the same table. But unfortunately, if the table that you're trying to sell stuff at isn't getting any footfall because it's away in a back room that nobody can access with shoes on, then you're not going to get the trade and you're not going to get the sales. So I was selling, if anyone's interested, USB sticks with the RPG and some additional files on it. So some standalone files and some exclusive stuff for that stick. So yeah, the entire day of Saturday I got 4 sales, and only 2 people came up and were actually interested in having a go at playing the game.
Complete.
So of the whole day, 6 people, I interacted with 6 people.
Exiting now.
Not great. Not great. So in the evening I asked Dan if it was okay to shift and go into the main hall. He said that was fine, we could chat about it in the morning. But after the evening finished, I was having a word with Dobbo and I was telling him my woes of this situation, and he, unbeknownst to me, he grabbed Dan in the morning and says could I have the table that was right next to his stall, because the person who'd been there had kind of taken his stuff and gone on the Saturday, and it wasn't, Dobbo didn't think that he'd be back. So he asked Dan if I could have that table, and Dan said yeah. So yeah, I had the table, and within an hour, being in the main hall, me and my sales patter, I'd sold 4 books. Or still 4 copies, the PDFs, they're still books I suppose. But, so yeah, I mean the increased footfall there was a huge help, and was really good. So did quite a lot of sales on the Sunday, made up a bit for not being in the main hall on the Saturday. It's a shame I missed that one day. It's a shame I missed the busier day for trade, but we got something, so it was worth it. But yeah, other than that, it was just fun. It's always fun being at a Fantasticon. It's always a good laugh. There's always loads of good people there, and it's the only convention I've gone to this year for a variety of different reasons. Still didn't have any hard copies of the RPG, which is the main thing I was going to sell, but thanks to the printers screwing it up, as I mentioned last week, the only thing I could really try and compete with this year was the USB sticks, which did well. Kind of semi-digital, semi-physical copy.
Fuel scooping complete.
So that was Fantasticon. Mentioned the RPG on memory sticks. If you're interested, the memory sticks are now on sale on the Daftworks website and on the Fantastic Books website. So if you go to fantasticbookstore.com, I think it is, do a search online for Fantastic Books Publishing, and it has on there a copy of my PDF on a memory stick. So Dan's selling some for me. I've got some up on my own website, my own web store.
Entry guidance computation.
The extra content that's on the memory sticks is now, it will be available hopefully on Dreadful RPG and my website very, very shortly. I'm waiting for the approvals coming from DTRPG.
Exiting now.
And obviously just waiting for, I've not really had time to sort everything out.
Fuel scooping.
For the store website yet, because I'll be honest with you, I actually forgot how to bloody add stuff to it, and I had to configure postage options, which I totally forgot about. So I thought it was all set up, and it's the first postal item I've had set up on the website. So I had to set up all the Royal Mail rates and postage and packaging amounts. So that was fun. Yeah, upshot is stuff coming. Keep an eye on the Facebook and Twitter, and keep an eye on the Twitch channel as well for links and information. And also, if you know where the website is,
All
keep an eye on
systems
there as
check
well.
out. No unusual activity.
Fuel scooping. Fuel scooping complete.
Okay. So Fantasticon was fun. I saw Jolly Boat for the first time. They were good. They're a comedy, kind of pirate, kind of pun-related double act who are very, very funny and very, very good, and I thoroughly enjoyed their act.
Vector.
The wonderful Gemma Johnson was there. To check Gemma Johnson on YouTube, that's J, not G. So J for Joker, Gemma Johnson.
Hyperspace.
A very, very talented guitarist and singer. It was great to see her again, and also great to hear her perform again. Although I do have a bit of an issue with the fact that when she knows me, but she doesn't remember who I am. She doesn't remember what I do in the Elite community, and that's the RPG stuff.
Fuel scooping.
So I had a bit of a go at her for that as well. In the queue for the bar, no less. Harangued by an irate Scottish author. A writer. I'm a writer, not an author. I don't know. I'm something like that anyway. Okay, so that's the yeah, thanks to Daddy Huggy there for sticking the link to the Jolly Boat in there. But yeah, so
Exiting now.
kind of chat what we're going to talk about this week. Well, one of the things that's been going through my head over the last week or so was that last Friday,
Fuel scooping.
Frontier Developments released, sent out a release that basically said
Complete.
they weren't going to be doing some of the content they'd promised for the end of this chapter. So the Q4 release for this chapter wasn't going to be done, and some of the stuff that's planned for chapter 4 isn't going to be done. But the release didn't really say what aspects weren't going to be looked at. And this is one of the issues that I tend to have with Frontier at the minute, is that they don't know, they don't want to tell us what's going on. And I don't know why.
Jumping to next system.
It's also got people's backs up a little bit that the actual crucial parts of the updates that were going to happen this year aren't going to happen.
Temperatures are at an acceptable level.
So essentially, the big thing is that carriers, fleet carriers, aren't going to happen by the end of this year. They haven't put a line in the sand as to where they're going to be or when they're going to be. And they haven't even put a foot down and said it's going to be at the end of next year or through the next season of updates or whatever. They've also said there's going to be no more none of the paid updates
Fuel scooping complete.
this year. Now, from a particularly sort of me point of view, that doesn't bother me really. They are doing the kind of incremental updates and the main content updates and so on like they normally do, and not doing the paid updates isn't something that bothers me because of the lifetime pass. Now, the lifetime pass is one of those things that gives people the entitlement to have constant updates all through the year and not have to pay for any of the significant updates like Horizons or Beyond. Beyond was meant to originally be a paid
Safety
update,
protocols for exit.
but again, because of not having enough content to update through the year, they decided to make it a free update to make up for, one, not having a lot of stuff that people wanted, and two, not
Fuel scooping.
putting enough out in the second year or the second chapter to justify
Fuel scooping.
the paid content concept. So, as I say, some people are up in arms about it. A couple of guys that I spoke to at Fantasticon were quite vociferous in their shouting and screaming about Frontier and saying that Frontier should be producing this or that, and that they're not keeping to their legal bargains and all that kind of stuff, which is kind of odd to me. Yes, it's disappointing,
Safety protocols for exit.
but there is a department that says, well, it's a game, you know, the money's gone, the money's out my account. Okay, fair enough, it wasn't essentially 100% me that paid for it, because my pledge levels were boosted by the Kickstarter for Elite Encounters being done. Although I probably would have managed to go a bit further on that one. Simulator, how you doing? How's you doing, hun?
4, 3,
Sorry to hear that you can't stay all night. If Netflix is more important than me, that's fine. I can deal.
Exiting now.
But yeah, so essentially the fleet carriers aren't going to happen this year, and the ice planets aren't going to happen this year. They're going to push to be at least next year. But again, Frontier have come out and said, oh, but something else cool will be happening, but have not actually given us a clue what that might be. And this is there's a couple of things that rankle on this thing, with the community sort of largely, and with me to a little extent as well.
fuel scooping complete.
Frontier have a huge development team working on this game, or that's what they tell us. They've got 100 plus people working on this game as far as I'm aware. So how come it's taken so long to develop stuff? What is taking so much time? Because there's not that much has been done from what we can see. This is what people are saying. We've had some planet surface remodeling. We've had a few new ships, and now I'm sorry, but the crate I do like. It's not a crate, the same way that the Imperial Courier is not an Imperial
Safety
Courier.
protocols for exit.
You can see it's inspired by the crate, and they've put that into the description for it as well. But fundamentally, the Alliance ships, the Crusader, the Challenger, and the Chieftain, largely the same ship. I'm sorry, but you can change it up on the outfit as much as you like, but essentially the ship itself is a single model with a few changes to it. So it's not a huge bit of work to do. A 4-ship set for a year's worth of development. They're supposed to have compartmentalized teams for this stuff as well. So I'm not entirely convinced that the ships have taken all that much time. The story involving the Thargoids and the Guardians is crawling along at the slowest rate, to a point where I was having a conversation with some guys today, and the conversation was going around this whole
Frameshift drive.
layout of what the Thargoids are actually doing. Now, what are they doing?
Hull integrity is within.
I mean, we haven't,
all
or
other
humanity hasn't really
systems
pushed
are
them
at
to do
no
anything.
level.
At least as far as we can tell. They haven't really pushed anything at us. If we interact with them in a bad way, then they interact with us in a bad way. If we have some of their stuff on board our ships, they get pissy about it and start having a go. Which is fine, because if I came across a lorry in the middle of the road that had my furniture inside it, I'd be damn well pissed off. Or if I passed a car on the road that had my wife in it, I'd be extremely annoyed and want to know what the hell is going on. So, yeah, that's understandable. We're told that they've been doing X, Y, and Z and destroying stations and all that kind of stuff. We're not seeing them actually do it, we're just seeing some dodgy stuff in the background. That for all we know, could just be Aegis or INRA or anyone really mucking about.
Hyperspace.
Or making it look bad.
Systems now.
Trying to push stuff, push humanity into making these
Exiting now.
calls. So I'm not overly convinced that there's something going on there. But the thing is, there's no clues one way or the other as to what's going on after 2 years of Thargoid encounters. Now, if the Thargoids are behind this stuff and they are gearing up for war, then why the hell are they making it drag out so long? When you're going to go to war with someone, you don't fanny about at the edge of the system or the edge of the civilized area. I mean, if you're going to attack, if you're going to do an all-out attack, you don't do that. If you're going to all-out attack, say, Italy, you don't leave your carriers sitting around their islands for 2 years, taking like basically sending crews aboard their ships and having a look around. If you're gearing up to do something like that. So it's dragging on too long, there are no answers, there's no direction. The story itself is plodding along, and I'm sorry, it's getting boring as crap. The Thargoids aren't doing anything overly belligerent, we have to go looking for them. It doesn't link itself into the original Elite, so it's lost that Elite feel.
Exiting now.
The whole point of the original Elite in the Thargoid encounters there was that you couldn't jump without that slight risk of something Thargoid finding you through the entire game. But what it did was it balanced it all off. So if you were a crap pilot, like you had a very low combat rating, then your encounter would be a lot easier than it would do it at higher ranks. You can defeat a Thargoid ship with experience. So those early encounters would give you that experience to do that. And then you as your elite ranking increased, then the number of ships potentially you could encounter would increase. You'd then have Thargons to deal with, you'd have multiple ships. You also had random encounters where you had, for some reason in the Spectrum version, a Thargoid ship accompanied by Sidewinders, which is interesting. Now these are all little intriguing elements of the game that could have been brought forward into this, but no, instead we have Thargoid encounters that you can avoid if you want to. They will not act belligerently towards you unless you provoke them.
Entry guidance computations complete.
So, what's going on with that?
Engaged.
Is that part of the story? And if it's not part of the story, why is it happening?
Safety
If it is part of the
protocols for
story, then why isn't the reasoning behind it being discussed more openly? Why isn't it progressing? It just seems not to be moving anywhere, and it's dragging the story on, and it just now seems we've got this Guardian stuff going on. So what we've got is a situation where the Thargoid stuff has been kind of put on hold. That's not moving anywhere further forward. We're now looking at the Guardian stuff. So where's that going? The obvious conclusion is that the Guardian stuff is meant to draw us into a bit of an arms race with the Thargoids. So the Guardian stuff that we're trying to develop now is to be used more against the Thargoids than each other. It won't be, but it will be used
Exiting
against them.
now.
So the curiosity there is, are they now going to balance it and just keep things balanced where it's an unrealistic possibility anyway?
Fuel scooping.
The interesting part of it all is you have this Guardian tech. Why have the Guardian tech there at all? If it's only there to be a balancing thing. So, I don't know. I mean, I was watching Obsidian Ant's video earlier. Obsidian Ant's latest one, which I think he recorded while he was at Fantasticon. And he makes a few good points in that. Or at least some of the other people there are making good points on that. Is that Frontier keep the cards close to the chest all the time. To what I feel and what other people feel is a detriment of the game's development and forward motion. People are saying now there's a huge team and a huge investment behind this game. Why isn't it developing further? Why isn't it moving forward? Why is it being left standing? And this is the big thing that I'm seeing at the minute. No Man's Sky, which you know I've been playing for the last few weeks, has a very small development team in comparison to Frontier developments. Hello Games are about something like 20 people or something like that. In the last 9 months, they have released patches that have turned it into a new game. They've implemented a whole multiplayer aspect. They've implemented a whole new graphics update, a systems update, improvements to the procedural generation of vehicles, vessels, plants, and animal life, and introduced a whole new plot. The update before that, Atlas Rising, was the same. It introduced a whole new storyline. A whole storyline that plods along with you in it. You drive that story, you drive it forward. Okay, it's more of a single player type thing, but the point is, they're doing it. Whereas all we seem to be doing in Elite is we find a beacon, it sends us somewhere, we scan something, we shoot everything that moves, we pick stuff up, we then go back into space and pick up another signal. So we're following, basically, we're following waypoints.
Entry guidance computations complete.
So where's the actual intricacy of the story? Where's the personal aspect of the story? And this is the thing. No Man's Sky, and to an extent Star Citizen, being based in a first-person or third-person reality where you have a character and you are following the path of that character, has done a much better job of keeping that plotline simple and keeping that plotline flowing. Whereas trying to create the content on a galactic scale, but without any personal involvement whatsoever, so it's there for everyone to find. There are no personal stories. There's no atmosphere. I mean, that's not meant in a what's the word? In a pun. If you excuse the expression, being a galactic impact. It just hasn't got that involvement. Everything is pan-galactic, so everything could happen to everybody. Whereas it needs that personal involvement, events that it could be kicking off around the entire galaxy, that may not have that much influence on the galaxy itself, but it could have an impact on you as a person. Or as a player, or as a character. I mean, it may not be something that remains persistent through the universe and through the interactions people may have with you. But if you go into a space station and you dock and you're having a chat with other players that are online, and you say, "Oh yeah, the other week I ended up going to this planet out on the rim, and it was basically there's a ship there that I found, and I found that, and I sold this, and I sold that." Use the engine of the game to actually develop a story. So you find a black box recorder, and it's got information in it, and you follow that information, and you find the remnants of some family's spaceship, or you approach that a space station with a particular mission, and it turns into a story. You know, rather than just being another out of the box, "Here is my ship, please can you fetch it? This is the name of the person I want you to kill this time." Fallout proved that you can do that kind of story without it having to be something galaxy affecting. Look at the way that, I mean, even Elite Dangerous managed to do it to a small extent. Leaving Commander Jameson's ship out there to find was one small aspect of that kind of storytelling. But again, not enough information. They're not drawing the line in the sand. They're not saying this is what happened. Everything is
Key
supposition,
systems are at
guesswork,
optimal levels, readying for exit.
unanswered questions, all that kind of stuff. Now I know it's meant to be a strategically planned out game and they've got plans for everything, but they have to have some short-term wins. Answer some of those questions, answer even the personal questions. You've got Elite, you've got Frontier, and you've got First Encounters. All of those games have a rich history and a rich background. And I know because I helped write the bloody thing. I helped to collate some of that information together. Others involved created more information and put it all together. We have companies, we have organisations, we have figureheads. The front 70 pages of Elite Encounters are filled with the names, places, dates and times of half the shit that went off in the galaxy. And that's just scratching the surface. As I've said before, an effort to show that they could simulate the whole galaxy after they've opened it all up. There's no frontier to push against, no risk while pushing outwards. Then they introduce pointless stuff like power play to try and hold people in the bubble. Exactly. That's one of the aspects, yeah. I think that's a good point, actually. By opening up the entire galaxy and having hyperspace work the way that it does, you have effectively lost the frontier. There is no frontier anymore. We're not doing anything to push any frontier. All we're doing is going out, jump scan, jump scan, jump scan.
Hyperspace velocity.
Exploration is basically going out there and just basically pointing the ship at a planet and pressing a button.
Now.
Or not even having to press a button. It's effortless. I'll show you exploration. Watch that little line there. That's it. That's this system scanned. Now I know what's in this system. I can then go to the planetary map and have a look at what's in the system, and then I can go and look at each one, point at it, and get an idea what's on that planet. That's not exploration. That's not what it should be. That's not pushing the frontier. That's basically mapping what's out here. That's stage one. After that, you've got nothing left. You can't go out there and establish a colony. You can't go into the bubble and set up a system or scan a system and say, right, I want to set up a colony here. I want to set this up as a trade route. I want to put down a station or put down a megaship or a freighter or something and say, right, this is the start of my economy. You can't build your own trade route. There is no way to expand what's currently there. And one of the things Frontier said was, right enough, you would be able to affect the galaxy and how it works and how it trades. And you can to an extent. You can affect local economies by flooding it with stuff, or removing stuff from it and turning it into something else. You can affect it in power play, but you can only affect it politically. Who owns it? Who controls it? But that doesn't make any difference to the economy, or any difference to how it fits into the rest of the galaxy. It also doesn't allow you to expand outwards.
These systems are at optimal levels.
The only way that can happen is if Frontier say, okay, this system is now colonised. And it's a manual process. It's not just a matter of saying, right, it's now got this much input, it's now had this much traffic, therefore it warrants a space station being built. Yeah, I mean, John's totally right there. It has no scope for expansion other than what Frontier specifically say can be updated.
Fuel scooping complete.
And that doesn't leave the player any scope to say, I want to put a base here. This is what I liked about No Man's Sky, is it filled in that gap for me. You could put a base down and build a base as much as you wanted. You had that element of, I mean, I was never that keen on that element of the game in Fallout, but in No Man's Sky, it's a nice idea. You can go onto a planet, and if you like the look of it, plonk down a base.
Vectors.
3, 2, 1, engage.
When jumping across the galaxy to be hard, skillful, enticing, or mission driven. Yeah, and the thing is, the framework's there to
All
do it.
systems check out.
And
No unusual activity.
I always said in the very first months and years of this game being out that what Frontier were doing was creating a framework. A framework to build the more advanced aspects of the idea of an explorable galaxy. The idea of build, trade, fight, explore. and that it was exciting where it was going. Power play, as far as I was concerned, was an idea I didn't like, but I could see what they were trying to do with it. They were trying, to me, it looked like they were putting down a framework to say this is how we can affect the different aspects of each galaxy's economy, or its political makeup, or its factionism, and all that kind of stuff. So how can you introduce a faction into a new system? And where I thought that would go would be that they would end up having these people having an influence around different stars, or you could go and explore on their behalf, or whatever. But no, it just seemed to stop there. It's now got to the point where we're 2 more years down the road from when Power Play was introduced, or 3 years, I can't remember exactly how long it's been. And that aspect of the game's expansion has stopped. The Thargoid story jumped in, and it just seems that Frontier can only track one development. One development of how the galaxy can expand, and that's by use of the Thargoids. We expanded out into Colonia by accident, and that again is something that they laid a framework there, even with that storyline, to say, right, this is the second region of space we can start to expand into, which many people took to indicate that there could be something significant happening in the bubble. Like, we may lose it, or there could be a war, or there could be something else going on. But that's the thing, nothing has moved forward. Colonia is there, it is very, very, very slowly expanding. But in a region where you've got perhaps a million to 2 million actual players, active accounts are in the millions, I know that. But at the minute, what are they doing? So, going on to other things that have been going on. It seems like more of the same stuff from Frontier. Frontier sit there and they say, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll do the other. And then it gets to a certain point and they say, well, actually, you know what, we can't seem to do that now. And it's making them look like dicks. And it's because of all the secrecy. It's because they maintain this secrecy and this requirement to kind of give you a sketchy outline of what could happen, or what's going to happen next, or what the next big update's going to be. And then they just completely fail to provide. And then on the back of saying, oh, we haven't managed to do this, they then say, but look out, because we'll do this instead, or we'll be doing this next year. And you think, well, you're not going to tell us much about that either, are you? The amount of times that you say to us that we're not going to achieve X and we're going to do Y, and then you can't achieve Y and you're going to do Z, we're getting a bit sick of hearing it. And it's this mix between wanting to have the openness with the design schedule, but not the openness with the design content. And people are basically saying, well, I'm sick of hearing it. Either design it or don't design it. Stop pissing us around. And I can understand that fully.
Jumping to next system.
One of the things I would like to see is a kind of unofficial roadmap.
Exiting now.
Open up, unclench, release the butt cheeks, and actually put things on the table and say, right, this is the stuff we want to stick in the game. This is the stuff we have thoughts about. Include on that everything that's on the table for saying how do we get it done and at what stage it's on. Have a development plan actually set out so that the players and the community can actually see it. It's an engaging community that will support you if you support it. And this has been proven in the past. If that wasn't the case, then this game would not exist. That is a pure and simple fact. Because if there had been no community interest in this game, the Kickstarter would have failed. Unless, of course, Frontier funded it themselves. I think, going by people I've spoken to already, and my own opinion as a developer as well, I appreciate the honesty and the idea that you can put the cards on the table and say, right, here's our deck of cards. These are the 52 things that we can do, or that we would like to do.
Exiting now.
I know how the development thing works. I know how game development works to a certain extent, but I definitely know how software development works. You put your change requests on the table, or your ideas for content, and then you start looking at whether they can be done or not. You go through a process of investigation, of analysis and design, to see how you can put this stuff into the game, and then you say, righty-ho then, how do I do this? You then start to document how that can be done. You then start to look into how that process can be pushed forward. You look into doing that thing. If it becomes something that can be viably done, then you start to do it. If not, then you shelve it and you say, right, this is why we can't do it now, this is what's needed, this is what we have to do to get it ready for it. Then there's openness, there's understanding. You even open up to the community to say, well, maybe we can help. Have you thought about this? It's what the DDF was all about. The Kickstarter granted access to a shitload of people for a fuckload of money to the Design Decision Forum, I think it was called. And it did a good job in the first releases. But then it was binned. It was absolutely canned. It was just shelved and put to one side. Why? It came up with Super Cruise.
Safety protocols for exit.
Which was one of the much, much better ideas that came out of the development phase. And it made everything so easy. So, could something like that help with continuing development? Put things like space legs on the table and say, can this be done? Well, yeah, it can be done. How difficult would it be on a scale of 1 to 5? Possibly 4 or 5. At least that's the impression I get from how far it's gone so far. Atmospheric landing. Is that difficult? If so, why is it difficult? Why not do it as a phased introduction, like I said last week, rather than jump straight in the goal there and say, let's have all these populated planets with their huge cities on them, accessible from space? Why bother? Why not just make it that uninhabited atmospheric planets are accessible and you can land on them? If there's a problem with how to render water or how to cope with water on ships, just say that you can't land. You've already got bits where it can say you can't land on this bit of a planetary surface. So why not just do the same for water? No, you can't land on the water. Simple. Effective. If it's not possible to do it in a hyper-realistic way, then don't fucking do it in a hyper-realistic way. Just do it in a semi-realistic way. And the thing is, the door has now been opened up for that kind of shit. Because before, we've always heard this thing that Mr. Braben and the Frontier Developments crew want to try and maintain the hard science realism of this game, despite the hyperspace thing and Super Cruise and the whole physical impossibility of that kind of stuff. That's all gone out the window with the Guardian stuff now. We're now breaking away from real hard science and having expandable wings on stuff that can be magnetically or electrically held to the ship's body. That's not even scientifically realistic to our understanding of it. So if that line has been blurred already, fine, and it continues to get blurred. But one thing that you have to remember as a developer is that your community wants content. If you say you're going to develop a game and bring it into new areas of efficiency or new areas of gameplay, then do it. Do it stage by stage if you have to. Introduce slightly unrealistic atmospheric entry just as a testbed and say to the players, right, there you go. What do you think? What can we improve? And I think 60% of the people who have that in the game will be or 60% of a person's brain while that's going on will be thinking, yes, I can finally do this. And the 40% that's sitting going, well, it could be a lot better, will put up with what they've got because they've got it.
Hull integrity is within limits. All other systems are at normal levels.
I mean, fair enough. People want to say that ED's a simulator. That's fine. That's up to them. It's the closest thing we've got to a real-world game that can be called a simulator. It does a good job. But the fundamental thing about it that everybody, including Frontier, need to remember is that it is a game. People want to play a game. They want to play something that they enjoy. You've given them a framework to play the way they want to play, do what they want to do, not necessarily have to be constrained by some kind of necessity for combat or necessity for trade or blah 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 blah. You have the framework there that's already efficient enough to say I can do trade, exploration, bounty hunting,
Vector.
whatever else. The ways of bringing in money and getting the money to get the new ships is all there. You don't have to fight everybody. Just expand on it.
Exiting now.
Use that freedom to say, right, here's the bits and pieces that you want.
Fuel scoping. Fuel scoping complete.
It just pisses me off. I mean, I know Daddy Huggy's sitting there saying the same kind of thing. You can travel FTL, there's no hard science in ED. That's true to an extent. I mean, I think there is some hard science concepts in there, like trying to keep things at least believably realistic for the layman. Anyone who knows astronomy or physics or science is going to have issues with a lot of stuff in the game. So it's not a hard and fast simulator. But then it's a sci-fi game. It's a sci-fi genre. It involves spaceships travelling through hyperspace.
Fuel scoping.
And trying to... using a kind of half-assed, half in hyperspace, half out of hyperspace method to travel faster than light and scoop energy from stars in less than a minute. It's not hard science fiction. There is hard science in it, but there's a lot more science fiction concepts in there.
Hyperspace velocity reached.
I mean, the definition of a simulator is something that gives you
Are at optimal
an artificial environment
ready
that
for
emulates
exit.
something that exists.
Now.
So by its very definition, Elite Dangerous is not a simulator, because it does not emulate something that already exists.
Fuel scoping.
It uses scientific concepts to try and make what it does as realistic as possible.
Fuel scoping disengaged.
But even the concept of realism within this game is nonsense, because it's not real. It's science fiction. It's a space game. It's you're jumping into a ship and flying around the galaxy, exploring planets and fighting aliens. It's not real. It's a game. What it does give you is something that feels plausible. It feels like it works. I mean, I was watching Malik earlier on today, and he was saying that you can look around in VR, and he's right. Look, you can do that. And look, I'm sitting in a spaceship.
Entry guidance computations
I can look
complete.
360 degrees around me at the minute, as long as I'm not looking through my chair.
Checking systems now.
And I can see all around me. I can see everything. I can see the seat over there. I can see maps at the back. I can see the cockpit. I can see outside. I've got a window. Look, there's the outside of my ship. There's my engine pod. Underneath the engine pod, there's a weapons mount. It's empty at the minute, so I took the weapon off it. So it emulates an environment. It doesn't simulate that environment, because that environment doesn't really exist to simulate. we also don't know how any of the shit that happens out here would actually work. Could we refuel like this from a start? No. But willing suspension of disbelief gives you that variety, gives you that environmental aspect of being a simulation. Something that has cartoony graphics like No Man's Sky isn't a simulation because it doesn't try to be photorealistic, and I think it's all the better for it because it allows you to have that experience. I mean, who's to say it's any more wrong than anything that's in Elite Dangerous? For all we know, if we went out into the reaches of space in a different galaxy, we would end up with multicoloured grass and multicoloured skies and common species of flora and fauna that exist on multiple planets because there's only so much of a diverse biome you can have. Or who's to say that's not even by design? The Atlas and all the other things actually did all that deliberately. Or even that God did it to piss everybody off. Who knows?
Leaving system.
3, 2, 1, engage.
Maximum velocity engaged.
Stellar Forge is a
Exiting
galaxy
now.
simulator, everything else is pure hicking. Good point. Again, it's a simulator. But I suppose even Stellar Forge itself has some compromises in it. If building a model of any environment, you always have to make some kind of compromise. Whether it be modelling the galaxy or whether it be modelling a toy car
Fuel scooping.
based on a real one. Over halfway there, guys, and it's just an hour, just over an hour since I first started doing this. We might actually make this tonight.
Vectors.
Okay, I am
Frameshift drive engaged.
rather tired of talking here.
Exiting now.
Oh, pardon me. I do apologise if I heard that. I just throat started to dry up, so I had a drink.
Fuel scooping. Fuel scooping complete.
But in the spirit of full disclosure about stuff,
3,
oh hang on. If vehicle simulation is so complicated that it replicates all the nuances of real life, then it is impossible to control and understand as real life. Ooh, philosophical and
Hyperspace.
true.
Checking systems now. Complete.
If you want evidence of that in this genre, then you've only got to look at Frontier and First Encounters. So Frontier Elite 2 and Frontier First Encounters, two games that were semi-sequels to Elite,
fuel scooping.
although I have my theory on that, and precursors to this one. The initiation of the Federation and the Empire, blah 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 blah.
Complete.
They used real physics as the flight engine, and it was crap. It was interesting from a scientific perspective and looking at the realism of trying to build a space sim that followed the right roads of space. But oh my god, as a game, it sucked ass. It was horrible. It was space jousting, for crying out loud, with your combat method. If you didn't have an autopilot, you ended up swinging back and forward through all the different approaches to the planet before you could even get it right. I never once, not in 10 years of playing that game, ever managed to reach a destination not using the autopilot. And if you got into a combat situation and somebody blew your autopilot, you'd be as well just loading in the last save and starting again. It did not make for a fun playing experience, and that's what I'm trying to say.
Fuel scooping complete.
If you're going to write a game, create a game, publish a game, it has to be a game first and foremost. So something that people can get accessible. Something that's accessible. Oh, that's a bit of a weird angle, isn't it? Sorry, but I need to sit back, so I'm going to have to recalibrate the stuff here. Just 1 second. Yeah, at Fantasticon I bumped into Zach Antonacci. Zachary Antonacci, the lovely man who runs the community engagement department at Frontier Developments. And I've had a few issues lately with trying to get in touch with Frontier about book stuff, and they've never once got back to me.
Safety protocols for exit.
Now, I have emailed directly David Walsh, as sort of one of the senior officers of the company, who dealt with me quite a lot as part of the publication rules and regulations and legal side of stuff. I've also emailed Ed, I've emailed Paige, I've emailed Zach, I've emailed community as a whole. Zach maintains that he's never received any emails that I've sent him, which is fine. But the issue I've got is that I have been angry with the situation for a long time, and I've been trying for months to get through to them. I pointed this out at length while drunk to Zach at Fantasticon, and he apologised, and he said to email him directly and see what he could sort out for me, see what he could find out for me, which is very much appreciated. So I would like to say on the record here that in terms of engaging and even listening to a drunk irate Scotsman saying things in a completely inappropriate and unprofessional way, thank you, Zach, for at least listening. And let's see if we can usher in a new era of cooperation, where I can hopefully get some marketing for my hard-won, hard-fought book, and some recognition out there for it. So I did quite vociferously state that, again, as I have no issue with the people who publish the EDRPG, that I felt there was a disproportionate level of exposure coming from Frontier in relation to that product than there is in relation to my product and some of the other products that have also been done for their company that pushes their game. Because let's be honest, there hasn't been a lot of stuff out there from Frontier themselves about the novels that were written 2-3 years ago now. And that seems a little odd, because if you have a product out there that publicises the game that you're playing and could potentially introduce that world to a different audience,
No anomalies
like
detected.
readers rather than game players, then why the hell do you
Safety
not push that all
protocols
the
for
time?
exit.
Likewise, there are 2 products out there that push the content of the game, the background of the game, and actually being able to play as people in that game's universe into a very, very lucrative second market.
Fuel scooping complete.
You have computer RPG players and you have tabletop RPG players. You have 2 mutually unique products set in the same genre, set in the same universe, but that have a very, very different take on that universe and its content. And yeah, I mean, fair enough. I fully accept that my book has less polish, less glitz, less glamour, but that doesn't detract from the content, which was hard fought and is unique.
Scanning for anomalies. None
So
detected.
why Frontier as a company would decide not to push this content and not to push the people who've made this content for them, I don't know. Now again, it's one of those things where, is it because Frontier don't want to say something? Do they have an opinion of the level of professionalism or quality of said products that they are not pleased with? Because I've always maintained from day one that the intent of the Writers' Pack pledges was for professional authors and publishing companies to drag them in and buy the licenses. So well-known published authors would be out there doing all this stuff with their books. But instead, 90% of them got taken up by amateur authors, including myself, including Drew, including the people that did the anthology book. And kudos to Frontier for actually allowing it to go ahead. They could have easily said, you know what, this is not what we wanted to do with this. This was a bit of a mistake. We are sorry, but we don't want to do this anymore. They could have done that very easily. It was their right to do that. But they let it go ahead. They got the money. The people paid the money up front to do it. We had to kickstart it often. We had to kickstart it ourselves to raise the funds for that kind of thing. But we did it. And okay, some of it may have taken longer than planned, and mine especially took a lot fucking longer than planned. We all know that. It's an ongoing story for crying out loud.
Frameshift drive engaged.
But we did it, and we got there, and we got these things over the line.
Are at an acceptable
And to then
level.
brush them under the carpet and not even put a minimal amount of effort into actually pushing these things forward, given the collective, not including mine, you're looking at a collective of about 8 years of work maybe that went into these books. So a year's work for 8 different people to get these books out, and they've garnered their own controversy, they've gathered their own interest, they've gathered their own followers, and they're polarised opinions all across the world. But they're out there, they're published, they're getting positive reviews, and they're highlighting aspects of the Elite Dangerous universe that otherwise would have remained in the dark. So they need to be pushed. And I can't understand for the life of me why, as a publisher, they're not doing that.
Entry guidance computations complete.
I only read one official Golanx book. It was crap. Generic SF with elite names. Yeah, and that's kind of one of the points I was making before. Not tonight, but in different streams. Is that authors who are talented as authors, but not as people who understand the universe of Elite, or the history of Elite, or the genre of Elite, are going to do that. They're going to write generic sci-fi and just populate with the names and stuff from the content that you give them. So hand them a load of writer's guides and then say, this is what's in the universe, go with it. They don't have any context, they don't have any execution, they haven't read the actual source materials that it's all based on, or played the games. But I think the better option, the better idea, was for the fans to take hold of this stuff and run with it. Basically because they understand the source, they understand the passion behind it. They have a passion for this universe and this galaxy and this setting and all this stuff. And because we actually play the game now as well, we also have the concept of how it feels. And people like myself, Drew, even you, John, other people out there who are doing this kind of stuff, we have that engagement with it. We want to do well, we want to make it something special. Hell, half the reason why my book took so long to bloody well do is because I had quality issues. I didn't want to put something out there that was crap or that didn't do this universe justice. And there was a lot of pressure for that. And I think a lot of pressure from Frontier themselves, not directly, they didn't cause it, but because I had been asked to do this, or had been granted the permission to do this by Frontier, the people who made the game in the first place, and because David Braben himself was going to be looking at this stuff, and because Ian Bell himself also got involved. I mean, and I won't lie, okay, it may not have been the most positive aspect of the process, having Ian Bell and Chris Jordan in my life asking me questions and trying to demand things from me. But the fact that they were aware of this was still,
hyperspace,
looking back on it, was still something that motivated me to go forward with it. Never once did I think this isn't worth doing.
Systems are at optimal levels, readying for exit.
It was always, I just want to do it justice. I want to make sure it's right. I don't want to let people down and make them think that, you know, I didn't take it seriously. I took this hella seriously. I took this more seriously than I took my day job, for fuck's sake. I actually started to resent certain members of my family for taking my attention away from trying to do the thing that I loved doing. And I would probably say that other people would probably have had that kind of reaction as well. It's just one of those, it's just, that passion wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the amount of love and support and attention that the genre got all the way from the start. The Elite forums and the Elite game itself were the catalyst of that. They were the ones that pushed me forward into doing this kind of stuff and said that there is still love for this game, there is still love for this genre, there is still a lot of respect out there for the people who put them together.
Exiting now.
And yeah, so that's why I wanted to do well. And that's why they wanted to do well. For the fans, for Frontier, as a thank you for the chance to even do this, and as a chance to say thank you for actually creating the whole thing in the first place. But why does that then have to be stopped? Why is there a point where, okay, is it down to the fact that there's no financial comeback from it? In terms of the deal were what they were pay us some money, then you can have full rights to the book. Well, to be quite honest with you, renegotiate with me. Open up a conversation. Open up a dialogue. You put your Frontier, if you put your marketing boots behind the products that we've given you, or the products that we've developed for you, then I'm sure we can come to some kind of agreement that would say take a cut, take a share. Just put it on your store, put a price on it, and let us sell it. So, but that's it. I mean, it's the options there. The options have always been there. But Frontier want to go down a different model. So there you go. Look how crap FDev have been at promoting Drew's second book, and they asked him to write that. That's a very true point. I've not seen anything from Frontier, any marketing stuff going out, or interviews, or retrospectives, or information, or anything really, to follow up on what Drew did. Even just to say, this is Drew, he did this book, please go and buy it. This is Drew's book, here's the guy that wrote it, here's what happened in-game to support it. I mean, that was a huge thing. I mean, that was one of those marketing firsts. Events in the game will be put into a book that you can then buy once it's been finished. That's pretty unique. And actually the players knowing that's going on and actively taking part and creating what they created. I mean, that's not just something that Drew did, that's something that we did as players, as a community, together. And Frontier did it as well. They were there, they guided the whole thing, they supported Drew in doing the in-game events, and they provided him guidance for his story. So that was a huge collaboration and a huge amount of work and a huge amount of investment to go into something that has essentially been put on a bookshelf and forgotten about to gather dust in terms of the way that Frontier's treated it. I don't understand. I just don't understand at all. So what else have we got going on? There's other people have just popped in chat now at last. Kagarus! Woo! Kagarus, another one of those people that met up with me at Fantasticon again. And thank you, mate. He also presented me with a 3D printed Fer-de-Lance, which I'm very, very happy to own. A bit of clean up on it and a bit of painting, and I think it's going to look fucking gorgeous. Well, I'm in Autots. 18 jumps to go. We're almost there, guys. But anyway, Kagarus, how are you doing? And yes, well done catching me streaming at last. Well done for remembering it's a Wednesday. Oh dear. Bifford!
Exiting now.
Bifford, I wish you'd made it to Fantasticon, mate. I really missed you this year. You and your happy smiling face. What am I ranting about? I'm ranting about the usual thing when I play Elite. I'm ranting about a lot of different stuff to do with game content, Frontier's approach to things, development schedules, development context, development content, publishing, books, RPGs, the usual stuff. I'm going to round off this whole ranting event by essentially saying that I'm hoping that I can engage with Zach and that he'll be supportive and that we can come up with some kind of direction that's going to move us forward. I'd love Elite Encounters to be part of the Elite canon. I mean, it is a canonical book. It's the only book you can buy that's got the lore in it for the Elite universe. That makes it special. A lot of people put a lot of effort into it, not just me writing the bloody thing. I mean, Michael Brooks, Janesta, other people, David Walsh, I mean, even Ian Bell and Chris Jordan had their nose in it in some places. David Braben himself obviously proofread it and went through it all. So people have invested time reading through my 200,000 words of shit, finding the nice bits and telling me to get rid of the bits they didn't think should be there. You know, it's not just a matter of reading it once and saying, yes, that's fine, carry on. It's read it once, tell me to get rid of a shitload of stuff. Read it again, make sure the shitload of stuff that I got rid of was the right stuff. And then that back and forward communication, for which I obviously thanked Michael Brooks and Janesta because I harangued them on almost a daily basis at some points during that process. And for also having the patience to let me keep on doing it when it was 3 years late. And to let all that effort just sort of slip by the wayside seems to be a bit wrong. So I'm hoping that liaising with Zach, hopefully in terms of at least community involvement, it'll be something that Zach and myself and Ed and hopefully everybody else at Frontier can get behind and actually get some involvement with. I hope it'll be something that can go forward. And if not, then I think as long as I'm given a reason why, I'd be happy. It's just this wall of silence that seems to be Frontier's approach to anything negative. Like, if they want to say something positive, they'll say it. If they want to say something negative, then you'll just get this wall of silence where they just won't talk to you. And that seems wrong to me. I've always been an honest, blatant, upfront person. If somebody has something negative to say, I want to hear it. Likewise, if I have something negative to say to someone else, I'll say it to their face. And that may be half my problem, is that if I feel like something, I mean, I'm doing it right now, basically. If I'm pissed about something, or I have an issue with something, I'll talk about it. Because I want these things in the open, I want them resolved. I don't go in for this whole secrets and lies bollocks that there seems to be an increasingly, worryingly large number of people and organisations that go in for. You won't understand anything, and you won't improve your understanding of concepts, of the universe, how the way that things work, without honest, open dialogue and honest comments. It goes from everything to bringing up a kid to performance reviews at work. People go behind your back and say something to someone else and not say anything to your face. You're not going to learn anything from that. And the only thing you'll actually remember at that point, the only thing you'll actually learn from that point is resentment. So yeah, so as I say, honest, open policies, move things forward. There you go. What we're on about law wouldn't have been allowed out. How did digital USB stick sales go at FCON? Well, as I said at the start of the stream, dude, day one was a bit of a washout because I was stuck at the back of a squash court with a sign on the door that says no permission, no entry unless you take your shoes off, and don't bring any food and drink in with you. So passing trade was non-existent. Even people just coming to play the RPG was non-existent. So the entire day, the only interest I got was 4 USB stick sales and 2 people playing the game for a couple of hours. And my intent had been to play a single game, a single campaign all through the day. Starting from the point where the first person came to the table and finishing when we cleared up for the day to end. But because only 2 people came in at the same time, I played a couple of hours of a game and then we got to the point of clearing up. We came to an actual point where they wanted to wander off. So we'll wrap it up there. It was a good story as well, I was quite enjoying it. and they were doing really well. And it's just a shame there was so much scope for other stuff to happen, and for it to go further. Even though it was one of did it the way I usually do it, off the top of my head, train of thought. It's just a shame that it stopped that way. So that was day one. 4 sales, 2 players. At the back of a squash court where nobody could get to me. Not even people that I know well, not even friends. Because people just aren't prepared to take their shoes off to come and play a game. You know, they're out at a leisure centre. Some of them haven't got the ability to do that. I mean, my own wife couldn't come and see me. Because 1, she couldn't get the wheelchair through the door. And 2, there's no way she was going to be taking her shoes off in the middle of a hall. So, it wasn't great. So, in the evening on the Saturday, I asked permission from Dan if I could move to the main hall and make a choice whether I was more focused on selling or playing. And to be honest, I invested some money in attending this event, so with the USB sticks design and the delivery. So I wanted to get some money back from it. And I made the right move, I think I made the right decision, moved out into the main hall, and I made double figure sales while I was out there, so yay! Win! Also managed to have a few very good conversations with people about the game itself. Dan pushed a young lad by the name of Ned towards me. I think he's about 14 years old, who sat with me for 3/4 of an hour and asked me to teach him how to do roleplay. So I obliged. I taught him how to play. I used my system as a guide. I mean, he had apparently just bought a copy of Dungeons and Dragons, so he had the DMG and the player's handbook, sorry. And his mum came and checked on him a couple of times to make sure he was okay, and I said, it's okay, we're just sitting here, we'll be done in about half an hour. And she said thank you to me afterwards for looking after him for an hour. So I feel like I was babysitting. But he was very keen on buying a copy of the game after all that. I went through a quick scenario of how to do dice rolls, went through a quick combat session to show him how contested dice rolls work. And said the similar ideas that go into other RPGs as well, D&D being an example. So yeah, he was quite happy with that, and he said, I'm going to go and see if I can get money from my mum to buy the game. But sadly his mum, I think, said no. I saw him towards the end of the con, about an hour or so later on, and he gave me this kind of I'm so sorry look as he walked out. So obviously mum had said no, but his mum again at that point said thank you. So I do appreciate the fact that obviously he's spent his money for the weekend.
Hyperspace velocity reached.
You email the link from a game. Yes, I do, and I keep saying to you I'm going to watch it, but the thing is, Bifford, I am so fucking busy. Life rolls merrily on without giving me enough time to sit for a couple of hours straight watching videos, I'm afraid. Work life's busy, home life's busy. I've now got a couple of other things to focus on in terms of Elite Encounters and its impending release in various different formats. I need to try and sort this issue out with the print house. I need to get my money back from them. I need to start looking at legal action potentially as well for that, because I'm not getting a response back from any method of communication with them anymore. And they still have my money. So yeah, unfortunately a lot of different priorities are taking over at the minute again. And all this is getting in the way again of trying to get the EPUBs and Kindle versions done, and trying to find another print house. I can't find another print house until I can get the money back. So I'm just up to my neck in shit at the moment, really. So yeah, my apologies for not managing to get that done quick enough. I'm also trying to read through and proofread Drew's Lords of Midnight book, pointing out some stuff to him, but I've even asked him to sort of excuse me on that as well. I've got about a third of the way through, and it's taken me this long to get to that point while making notes. So I've said, look, let me read it, let me do your review, and then if you want me, I'll send you what I've done so far, and if you want me to go back into it again, then I'll do that. I've also got another friend of mine who wants me to proofread his book as well, but that's pre-publication, so hopefully that'll be a slightly easier process. I'm just hoping that he's vastly improve the bits that I asked him to improve, otherwise I'm going to have to be telling him a lot of negative stuff again. So yeah, it's just busy, Biff, I'm afraid.
Maximum velocity engaged.
He just gets contact details. Sadly I didn't know. I just know his name was
Exiting
Ned.
now.
Maybe Dan will know, I don't know.
Fuel scooping.
But I think it was one of those person that walked in off the street things rather than somebody who was known to us as a community. So obviously he came in having bought a copy of D&D and then saw that it was RPGs there and thought, oh, I can get some information. Yay. But no, he seemed quite happy with it. He seemed quite taken with it. He seemed quite interested in how it all worked. He caught onto the concept quick enough. Did a character generation through with him as well, showed him how that worked. Yeah, he seemed alright.
Entry guidance computations complete. Frame shields now engaged. No anomalies detected. Exiting now.
Fuel scooping. Fuel scooping complete.
I'll be honest with you, if I could have said to him, look, I'll drop it down to 10 or drop it down to 15 quid for you, then I would have done. But I'm already kind of on the cost limit with the 20 quid I'm selling it for. I'm hoping that what he'll do is he'll have taken note of the address or a note of the name and he'll do a web search for it when he gets his pocket money. So I'm going to leave it till next weekend, and if I haven't had anything from somebody called Ned by next weekend, then I shall abandon hope. But the thing is, I don't mind as such, because the fact that I've managed to sit and teach someone how to do role playing, I've got someone into the hobby that I've loved for so long, is rewarding in itself. Okay, it's not a financial reward. It'd be nice if he'd bought a copy of it, but he didn't.
Vector.
But he sat and he showed an interest, and I'm hoping that the information I've given him and the lesson I've given him is going to help him get into that hobby, and hopefully he'll have a great time and he'll make some friends
All
doing it.
integrity is within
Okay, yeah,
limits.
he's probably going to get called a
All
nerd
other
for the rest of his life,
systems
but
are at normal
I've been
level.
called a nerd for most of my life. It hasn't hurt me any. And it's made me a published author as well. Or a published writer at
Fuel
least.
scooping.
So I'm not overly bothered about that really. But I wish him luck. I wish him good fortune and good favour in his choice of hobby. And I've got so many things to try and get done as far as role playing is concerned as well, because there's an ex-work colleague of mine, Rory, is into the D&D, and he asked if I would run a game for him and potentially other members of his group as well. And another guy from work actually asked to join in on that as well, and I'd love to do that. Obviously we live in different places. He lives in Leicester, Mike lives in Nottingham, and I live in Derby, so it's going to be a bit of a stretch, but we can probably do it online, like through Facebook or through Skype. So if we can do that, that'd be great as well. I'd love to do a game. And Bifford, that was one thing I was going to ask you as well, is I do need to start looking at getting an Elite Encounters game running, because I want to start putting together a session that will act as an introduction to the game for new players and for new people who want to get into the hobby and who want to be able to play Elite Encounters and understand how it works before they buy it or play it. So essentially tutorial sessions, but running it as a bit of a campaign. It's a bit weird.
Fuel scooping complete.
So I was going to ask if you were interested in doing that. I was also going to ask if you were interested, if you think you'd be able to get a hold of Mensky to do the same. Because you said he quite enjoyed himself at your session that he ran. I was just wondering if it was something you think would be a potential goer ahead. Because obviously I've watched Mensky a few times, I've watched him on Twitch. I know he's a colleague of Ashen's who I do watch quite regularly. And if he's interested in this kind of thing, and he's obviously played it before, then that would be a great person to have in there as a kind of intermediate level player. So an experienced role player, but a newcomer to the actual game itself would be interesting. Plus, I won't lie, the appeal of having someone who has a reasonable YouTube following would be a good draw for the online communities as well.
Leaving
So.
system.
3, 2, 1, engage.
No, actually, I didn't have business cards. I only realised that when I got everything set up and I was looking for something to give to people. I've got a whole fucking box of the things, and for the first time at any con, I actually forgot to pack them. The reason behind it being that once I'd got the USB cards packed, and I took some of the rejected sample copies rather than taking folders with the book in, because one, the rejected sample copies are smaller than the folders but have more content in them. And two, I could take more of them with me, and it gave me something to do with the bloody things, even though they're useless otherwise. And once I got all that sorted out, I ran out of space in my box. And it's just twigged with me that I could have actually just put the business cards in the same box as the USB cards. So yeah, I forgot them, like a twat. Wow. Phoenix Defier, Starfleet Comms, and Commander Ripped. Thank you for the hosts, guys. Didn't even realise that you'd hosted me.
2, 1, engage.
Exiting now.
I can help, yes. Yeah, he did. Right. If you have his contact details and you fancy reaching out to him, ask him the question, or ask him if he'd mind me getting in touch, or if he'd mind getting in touch with me, whichever. Again, as I say, it's something I would like to try and look into the possibility of doing sooner rather than later. Because this session that we run with the Sovereignty on a Sunday will have a point where it finishes, and my intent is to either replace it with a session with yourself, Mensky, and whoever else wants to join in,
Fuel scooping complete.
or move it to a different day, whichever's most convenient. If I'm being honest, I'd rather keep it UK based, because there's been a few scheduling problems with trying to get the US and UK players on the Sovereignty stream kind of lined up with each other. And other ones in Europe, like DJ in Europe, is a bit flaky in terms of timing, and you've got your time zone differences. It'd be nice to have a reasonable time to do these things. It would be classed as doing Elite Encounters work for me, so it would be stuff that would be linked to from the main website, and I'd probably use snippets of it as tutorial stuff. So my intent would be to do character generation online live as well,
Checking systems now. Complete.
as a
Safety protocols for
probable
exit.
section of the video. And I would be videoing obviously my desk to show the actual character sheet's been filled in as well, and then go from there. As I say, timescales at the moment,
Fuel scooping.
not sure.
Fuel scooping complete.
That's the plan anyway. Sunday 8 PM, that should work okay. I mean, any day 8 PM works okay for me, as long as it's kind of integrated into what I usually do and I get permission first. Because obviously spousal over unit rules what I do in the evenings. We're almost there. 3 jumps to go, including this one.
4, 3, 2, 1,
Exiting now.
Fuel scooping. Fuel scooping complete.
Jumping to next system.
2, 1, engage.
So one thing that would be interesting to find out is whether or not.
Exiting now.
What I'm interested to actually do is actually log out of the game once I get to the station and log back in and open, and just see how many people are actually around.
Fuel scooping.
And this is it, last jump.
Fuel scooping complete.
Oh Christ. Okay, well that's 8:30. Sorry, 9:30. Forgot that clock's thing. It's slow, isn't it? Drew! As usual, you've missed the entire rant part of the evening. Don't! I ranted for an hour between 8 and 9. Completely ranted. Google Plus is down. Wow. So, you're asking, are we there yet? Oh, yeah, we are. Because look, there it is. The system we need to be in. So I'm going to do the jump. Do the jump again, like we did last summer. Oh, let's jump again, like we did last week. Hey.
Leaving system.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, well, it starts from
Friendship
about 10
time
minutes in, and then it continues for about an hour. So it's an epic run. It does cover a lot of stuff we were kind of going over before, and some of the stuff that you and I talked about earlier on actually, Drew, as well. So you'll be glad to know. But it is stuff that pisses people off, and it pisses me off. So
Fuel scooping.
right, the Gnosis. There it is. Look.
Fuel scooping complete.
Let's go. Including the name of the stream, dude. The stream is actually called Journey to the Gnosis or something similar to that. So I'm sure you didn't. I'm surprised you didn't pick that up there. Deary me. Oh, some graphic popped there. Got a few graphics glitches today. Breaks my immersion. Wow. And there she is. 10 hours.
We've got you on our scanners, Commander. Please comply with flight regulations as you approach this vessel. Access granted. Go directly to your landing pad, Commander.
Pad 6. Is that it there?
Not an option.
Oh, good lord, I've been invaded. Malik, thank you for the raid and all your chat people. Deploy landing gear.
Lowering gear.
Hull integrity compromised.
Landing successful. Commence shutdown. Welcome, Cannoneer.
Cannoneer, I like it. That's a good welcome. Oh, so who we got? I'm engaging. Is this the new one? It's one of those we've found anything yet. Yeah, we're doing some duck hunt, sorry. Gamora, how you doing? Vorpalex, thank you for the visit. Ita Philly 84, Vosila, Shortbus 40, Sadie, after our argument earlier about contact lenses, Tech Bomb 2002. Thank you for the visits, everyone. Very much appreciated. Thank you for kicking those viewing figures right through the roof. So you 4 who always watch, thank you for that as well. But I'm getting a lot of things. What's all going on? Out Philly 84, thank you for the follow. I don't have a record of any follows that I missed while I was heads down, so I do apologise for that. Let me have a look at the activity feed. What have we got? Okay, here we go. Malik VR raided, Malik VR hosted, thank you for the host. Vorpalex followed, ComProdigy1 followed, and Etaphili84 followed. Thank you guys for the follows and for the host. It's very much appreciated. Great to see ya. And I'll click that my window over now, so I'll click back in it now. There we go. Now I'm going to nip back into the hangar, and while I'm here I'm going to put all my kit back on again. So I stripped everything out of my kit. Don't forget your fuel scoop. And Starport Services. And I'm going to try and put all my shit back on again. Stored modules. Alright, so it takes them all off the list. Right, got you. That's fine then. So we're just going to transfer all that stuff. That should be it done. Wait a minute. I think I've transferred 2 cargo racks, that's a bit odd. So one that, one that, one that. I've done this wrong, haven't I? Balak VR scaring himself shitless. What was he doing? Right, so that's all on its way, so I should be able to grab that for myself later on. That's good shit. Rock to the lolly, thank you for the follow. Very much appreciated, sir. Madam, whatever. Okay then. I'm going to pop outside and have a look around, to be honest. So I just came straight in trying to get everything on the way. It's now on the way, so why not? Let's return to the surface.
That's affirmed.
And let's have a fly around the ship and take a look. Maybe take a couple of photos.
Separation confirmed. Give way to oncoming traffic
Raise
during
landing
departure.
gear.
Landing gear raised.
Okay, lined up. That'll do.
Access granted. Please dock at your designated landing pad, Commander.
It's a beautiful thing. Deploy landing gear.
Down and locked.
Taking damage.
You know me, I'm always all about the visuals. Fully capable killing the scout killing experience here. Keep talking, Dave, don't go quiet. Can't help it. No shields, nope, no shields, no nothing. I took them all off before I left to try and maximise my jump range. But I will be sticking them back on again once I actually get things ready to go. But that is a beautiful image, that. I do like that. I'm going to do a panoramic, so I'm going to start from there. Try and press the right button. Then I'm going to go to there, which is the money shot as far as I'm concerned. Then I'm going to go to there. And I'm also going to do that, because hopefully that'll get everything in. Probably doing a panoramic shot when you're wearing a headset. It might not render the same because your peripheral vision catching things that you're not really going to get in a 2D shot. But that is a beautiful ship. The Gnosis, whatever you pronounce it. So there you go. Get myself back in the hangar again. I'm not. I'm going to do a picture of my shelf on the landing pad. There's another one, and I'll call that in after that. So, there we go. Nice new skin, that. Okay. So, I'm going to camp here until such time as it leaves. If anybody knows how long it's going to be in the cone sector for, that would be useful to know. Because I'm going to be hanging about here until that. Mind if I ask for a bit of gossip? It's really bothering me about Selezen Malik. What happened? To be honest, I would rather not discuss it. It's not my business to discuss. You guys are from Malik's channel, and Malik obviously has his own take on what happens. DJ has his own take on what happens. Even Chaos Dispenser has his own take on what happened. And because I am no longer a member of Sovereignty either, not for the same reasons as Malik or anything to do with the Malik situation, I don't want to go raking over their business. Again, I respect Malik, I respect DJ, I have a lot of time for both guys. I don't want to get involved in the internal politics of an agency that I don't really want to be mouthing. If Malik wants to tell you guys, Malik will talk. Malik will tell you. And that's all I'm going to say. But yeah, I think there's not a lot else I can really do on the thing. I mean, that's 10 o'clock anyway, so my usual knocking off time. I have surprisingly achieved what I intended to achieve, so I'm quite happy with that. I've got all my kit coming back to the Gnosis before it sets off, so I can restock everything, or reload everything back on later on. So yeah. Anyway, I am actually quite tired now. My eyes are sore. I was starting to make myself feel a little bit sick with what ducking and diving around there. So yeah, I'm going to call that a night, people. We made it. Thank you, Malik. Thank you, Malik's stream people, for popping on and joining me for that last little bit of the journey. Drew, thank you for popping in. Daddy Huggy, as always. Bifford, as always. Kagaris, great to see you again. So a few regular names there. Again, Malik's streams I really enjoy. I will chuck bits at him at every opportunity because the stuff that he does on his streams is better than anyone else that I've seen. In terms of how he goes into the science and how he covers what the actual deep stuff behind what you see on the screen actually is. He uncovers depths in this game that I have no clue about, and he has given me so many hints and tips on how to play this game and saved me a lot of time and effort actually finding different bits of cool information. So yeah. Oh dear. Well, I mean, as far as I'm aware, the whole thing that happened with him is matter of public record. It is available to look at if you know where to look. In terms of the conversations that were being had at the time, if you have access to certain Discord channels, it's on there. I think certain videos or certain video on demand stuff on Twitch had it on there. I don't think it's stuff that's ended up on YouTube for posterity, but again, the best thing to do is if you're curious, ask Malik. If Malik wants to talk about it, he'll talk about it. But it is a shame. I do regret the fact that there's been a split there. Because again, like I say, Malik is one of my favourite Twitch streamers. DJ is one of my favourite people and has done a hell of a lot to support the Elite Encounters RPG, which I do thank him for. And again, Malik also is in the same boat. He's been a rock in terms of publicity for the book and promoting what's in the book and his positivity about the content, which I couldn't ask for anything more. I know the best bunch of people online who support me in so many different things on it. But yeah, it is what it is. The sovereignty situation is what it is. I think what Malik's doing with his kind of science stuff, and he set up, is it PSI he's called it? He set up his own Twitch group now, or his own streaming group or player group, to move things forward in the way that he wants to go, which I think is a good move, to be honest. I like the concept of having another scientific body out there pushing stuff around, and the stuff he does, again, the most used whiteboard on the internet. I think someone described it earlier on his stream. just going to try and snuff out the feeling. I'm curious about this Elite RPG. Have you not seen the Elite RPG stuff? Dude! Dude! How can you not be aware? Good lord, man. Let me just. Cut. I'll stick a copy in chat. Paste and go. Is Elite RPG an official thing? That yes, it has been an official thing for the last year. Well, I mean, it's been an official thing for the last 5 years. But it was released in October 2017. There it is. It's in chat now. On PDF format. The drive towards getting the EPUB and Kindle versions out has kind of stalled at the minute because I was forcing on trying to get hard copies out. Hard copies have not become a thing as of yet because of a few problems with the printing shop that I chose to do the work. They've just rejected it as a project because they say that they can't achieve the quality I'm looking for. Now, the quality I'm looking for is for to have consistent colour gradient, consistent colouring, a consistently quality cover that isn't cracked, bent, split or scratched, and straight lines being cut on the pages when they're actually finishing it. At the moment we're looking at cuts that are on a 5-degree angle and cutting into the actual content of the page. So I don't think I'm being overly picky on that one, but after a 9-month investigation and check and ongoing troubleshooting of their hardware, which their hardware did have some problems, and my layouts, which fair enough did have some problems as well. I will take the blame for some of the stuff. But after 9 months and only having one thing to sort out, they have actually said, nah, sort off, we don't want you anymore. So I'm back to square one with that. I'm going through a bit of a battle at the moment trying to get my money back from them. It may end up in small claims court, it may not, I don't know. I hope they're not going to take it down that road, to be fair. Don't have the testicular fortitude to go down that road right at this point in time. But if it needs to get done, it needs to get done. Malik Vero says if you're looking for lore, then get cells and stuff as it comes with more accurate lore that's in the open. The Elite Encounters RPG has the only copy of the book's lore, of the universe's lore, that you will find in print at the moment, even if that is just PDF at the moment. The first 70 odd pages are all background lore, faction information, all that kind of stuff. It's all 100% canon. It's all straight from Frontier itself. It's as much as you will find, and it is as much as I could publish. 50,000 or so words, it might be closer to 60,000 actually, were taken out of that section on Frontier's say so, as well as some other information, some Thargoid stuff, some ancient history stuff, that just were going to conflict with some of the stuff they had in mind. So that was all taken out, but a lot of the stuff that's in there is still fairly, or at the time was considered to be quite controversial in terms of content and the way that things were going. Some of it now has been overdone, some of it has been replaced by Galnet articles and so on, but not a lot, and it's actually kind of ambiguous as whether it's been replaced or supplemented by the content that's in there. But the route I've always taken it is that the official Frontier content is kind of Federation propaganda, if you like. And what I tried to do was a kind of independent analysis of a lot of the stuff that happened, but it has been essentially censored by that, but it's great. But yeah, the RPG itself is based entirely in game. I've tried to make it tie into Elite Dangerous the game, so it kind of pushes things a bit further out. So rather than rather than having a character that could be any sort of character in the entire universe, or any sort of career, or any sort of background, you have something that ties into the way that the games actually start. So for whatever reason the galaxy may have, you are a person who has just quit a certain career to go into one of the careers that are offered by the Elite Dangerous experience. You have a ship, you have some money, you have bugger all else. What you did before that is entirely your business, but now you are going to do this and you're going to raise some money. That's the core concept of what the Elite Encounters RPG kind of starts with. You have got the option, if you are an experienced enough role player and experienced enough gamer, you can take it further. Well, as I say, across the river, there will be a printed version if I can possibly get it out there. Malik's here. Yay! Hello, Malik. Malik. Woo. What is there is what if they're allowed to be out there. Yep, that's entirely right. Yep. The EDRPG, the other Elite RPG, is a more polished product in terms of its presentation, but it's what they call a lore-free game. So the environment of the game and the background information that they have is essentially non-canon, and what they're doing is they're setting in a slightly different alternate universe, if they like, off to one side. So some of the other stuff that they've got in there that isn't specifically mentioned in game is considered by Frontier to not be part of the Elite Dangerous universe. They also have a multi-book deal, which goes into a lot more content and a lot more background in terms of scope. So vehicles and variants of the ships are present that aren't available in the main game. But again, that's for diversity purposes in gaming and RPGs, as opposed to keeping canon. Whereas my RPG is essentially the computer game content in print form. That you can use, and you could take a ship from the Elite Dangerous game, and you could use it in the Elite Encounters RPG just by lifting the stats. That's how it was designed to be. Understanding of either will help with understanding of the other as well. Well, across the river, I wish I could convince you to buy an electronic one, because buying the electronic one will help fund the printed ones when I eventually get this money back. This is the issue at the moment, is I'm stymied by costs, because the budgeting I had, given the fact that this book deal for printing was done in November, has obviously dictated the way forward with the financial situation. And the problem is, the print shop I went for was essentially a respectable margin cheaper than anyone else in terms of doing a paperback version. I'm looking at potentially having to do pre-ordering stuff in order to try and get paperbacks out there. I'm looking at being at least twice the cost of what I've already budgeted for in terms to get the paperback version out. If I want to do a hardback version, the issue I'm currently having is that the hardback version would be almost twice the cost that I'm prepared to sell the book for, which is not exactly a great place to be, and it's primarily because of the fact that the book is an A4 book, and it has a lot of colour content. People take one look at that colour content on the inside, and because it's more than 20% of the book's content in total, they say that's going to cost you a fortune, and that's basically what they do. So Malik, I do read excerpts from him. He does. He has permission to do that as well. Yep. Yeah, I mean the problem I've got at the minute is I have something on the order of maybe a dozen at the moment, paperback copies that are rejected samples that the print company sent to me. I can't do anything with them. I can't sell them. I can potentially give them away. I gave one to Graham, to DJ Truthsayer at Fantasticon this year, again to support what he's tried to do and supporting the game and supporting me. And to be fair, Malik, if you'd have been there, you'd have had one in your hand. We're talking about the Elite Encounters RPG, Firestorm James. If you're not aware of it already, the one that Malik's talking about all the time on stream. I'll paste it again. Copy. Paste. Thank you, Bifford. You could raffle something like that. I probably could. That's the thing. I need to kind of see where things are going. I've kind of earmarked them for certain things at the moment. I'll be honest, I gave a couple away at Fantasticon. I gave Dan 2 to raffle off in his raffles for charity. And I'm going to do something with them that's good, right? Some good has to come out of this whole 9 months of hell. So if I can raise a little bit of money for charity by doing this, then I'll do it. The ones I've got left, I need to go through them and actually just make sure I've got ones that can still be given away and of decent enough quality to not be an embarrassment to myself or an embarrassment to the print shop. Although the print shop at the minute, I'm not overly fussed about the reputation, given the fact that they've screwed me over slightly. But yeah, I mean, I can see 3 boxes in front of me right now. One has 2 books in it, one has I think 4, and the other one I think has 4 as well. Yeah, I took 6 with me. To the convention, and I brought back. Well, I took 6 with me to playing games. I brought back 4. I gave 2 away to people who were really kind of helpful and who have been helpful the last couple of years. And as I say, Malik, you would have had one had you come. I do have 2 copies of it actually in loose leaf format. One of them printed off by myself and one of them printed off by the print shop. Again, just trying to see if they could do the loose leaf version. Because what has to happen first is the Kickstarter pledgers who've pledged for hard copies need to get their copies first. And they need to be unique, because they are Kickstarter ones. Once that primary order's out of the way, then I can look at doing full orders. If you send me your address, Malik, you never know. I know I have a real reputation for being shit, really, really shit at sending stuff out. At doing actual physical orders and sending things out, but in terms of, it's kind of hit and miss. And I still have a set like boggler of dice and dice rings that I need to send out, and that's been nearly 4 years now. But yeah, so it's one of those things. But as I say, the design as it is now will never be seen again, because now that print shop has changed, has got rid of the idea. I'm in a situation now where I'm going to have to go somewhere else. And obviously their print setup's going to be different. Their colour balance, their hardware, their ink, their toner, their balancing, they're all going to be different. Their cover formats, their binding process. Majority of that's going to be even just slightly different. So it's going to be a different beast to what it is now. I think the main thing I'm going to say in terms of hard copies at the moment for consumers rather than Kickstarters is I am going to start looking at pushing it out towards Drive-Thru RPG, and see if I can get the hard copy print-on-demand version over to there. That might be your best bet, and I'm trying to take a look at that this week. But last night I spent so much time trying to get the USB stuff put onto the website and put onto Drive-Thru RPG that I've not really got around to doing that yet. But I am hoping to do that, if not by the end of the week, then hopefully at the weekend. At least to make a start on it. I tried to reach out to the guy who's my sales advisor from Drive-Thru RPG before going to Fantasticon, and he's not got back to me yet, so I'm just wondering if he's maybe even still there, and if not, I'm going to have to move out and do something else with that as well. But it's going to happen. It will happen. And Malik, if you do get over to Britain at some point, or you are planning to get over to Britain at some point, then please do let me know. Otherwise, send me your address and I'll see what I can do about getting one sent over. So, yeah, I'm quite I'm quite hopeful about what's going to happen next with it. I'm hoping we're going to get some decent service. I'm hoping I'm going to get the money back from things, and I'm hoping I'm going to get a decent offer as to how to get this printed. I am looking at other options, like, because I've been trying to keep it in the UK, and that's the thing. I think keeping it in the UK is making it making the cost spiral, and I think what I'm needing to do is perhaps look at other options for that. The difficulty with that is it's not as easy to proof, and obviously the time between dispatching a sample copy and then seeing a sample copy is going to be a hell of a lot longer than it is in the UK. Because the good thing about the company I was with was they were just based at the south end of the country, south end of England, and I could get things next day. So he said he sent it off, and I'd get it next day, and I could review it and send him the comments back. If I do that with somewhere like China or Poland or something like that, which is a couple of places where I've been suggested, you're looking at days, maybe weeks, before you get that content sent through, before I can proof it, and then it's send them back the comments and whatever else, and then see where we go from there. So it's all kind of up in the air, so I don't know. But anyway, on that note, I said I was going, so I'm gonna sign off for now. Again, thank you everyone for watching. I appreciate the fact that you all popped in, and I've kept on watching for as long as you have. It's lovely to have you all here. I hope you've enjoyed the stream, and I hope you've enjoyed the bit of chat we've had at the end there. As I say, I'm quite excited about the future of the Elite RPG. It always seems to be quite popular wherever I go. The electronic copies have sold quite well, and did fairly well at Fantasticon as well. So I'm hoping that interest is going to be renewed through the year. Through the rest of this year, I'm going to try and get everything else sorted out with it, get things pushed out, get stuff done. Hoping that can get to the end of this long road, and you can all hold a copy of this book in your hands, which I would love to see. Right. I think the link that Bifford's just put in the chat there is for a session that he ran at a party. One of the guys that we hung around with quite a lot, Steve, he did a charity thing a few months ago. I was invited to it, but I was actually scheduled to go to a convention at that point, although I couldn't in the end go to that convention, so I could have gone to this. But Bifford ran a game of Elite Encounters for me while he was there, and a reasonably famous YouTuber was there. I'm not sure, he doesn't seem to do a lot of YouTube stuff now, but does some Twitch stuff. Fluffy Bun, yeah, it's Steven something. I can't for the life of me remember his second name. But yeah, Mensky his name is, and he was there, and he played the game, and he said it was quite good, so he quite enjoyed it. So having a notable YouTuber say some positive stuff about my game, my little game, is quite a good ego boost. And if I can possibly leverage that and comment into him attending a session with me, and hopefully me running a game for him online that people can maybe look at, watch, learn how to play, and hopefully enjoy the game and carry on from there, then that would be a great thing indeed. But we'll see. If you want any more information about the RPG, then by all means watch this stream. I usually do talk about it every week. I don't play Elite Dangerous every week anymore, but I am always doing something. I am actually thinking about doing a tabletop stream. I think it's next week I do the tabletop stream, I can't remember. If that's the case, I'm actually thinking about focusing on Elite Encounters character generation as the subject of that stream, but we'll see where that goes. And actually do a proper how to do a character, and then how the system works, and that should cover it. Oh, you've emailed them. Oh, thanks, Biff. Cool, thank you. As I say, what I asked Biff to do earlier on, I think you may just have missed this when I said it online earlier, is that I'm actually wanting to try and plan that session in, and once we've finished doing the Sovereignty game, I'm gonna hopefully push straight into doing something like that. So if Fluffy Bun and Mensky and Biff are all up for playing, I'd like to have that as the group, essentially as we go ahead. Possibly room for one more player. So Malik, if you're interested, I was kind of thinking about keeping it to UK, but if you're able to make it, then you'd be very, very welcome, sir. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Right, I'm going to quit procrastinating and I'm going to fuck off now. I hope you've enjoyed the stream. I have had a lot of fun this evening. It's been great talking to you guys. And again, as I said, I hope you enjoy the stuff I'm doing. Just let me transition over to the other thing. Daddy Huggy, good night to you, sir. Thank you for watching as always. Oh, 9. Interesting. All of you Malik guys, again, thank you for being here. Malik, thank you for pushing your guys in my direction. It has boosted my viewing figures through the roof tonight. My usual 4 people haven't known what to do with themselves. And I'll see you guys around. Have a great week. Hopefully see some of you online at 3 PM UK time for the Elite Encounters Ascended game on Sunday. I'm hoping it happens this week because it's been 4 weeks since we last played. Hopefully you'll join us for that. If not, then I shall see you next week for what I think is the tabletop session. Again, Wednesday, 8 PM UK time. So take care everyone, have a great week, fly safe, good luck.